It is another edition of the 8 o'clock spot. I am Alfred Parsar Jr. once again standing in for our usual host, Bryson Carver, who is on other assignments. And it is another edition of the 8 o'clock spot, the one and only grid game show that is the most popular content creator sports debate game show in the land. Please welcome the panelists. First, the owner and founder of the grid and the only man to wear sunglasses indoors on a Tuesday night, Mr. Barry Grant Jr., who's dancing like he's listening to YMCA.
Oh, you caught that. You see, I was doing, 47's dance. Yes, sir. I like my introduction. I really appreciate that. And I just want to put this out there. I am not the only person that wears shades on Tuesday night. I'm just the coolest one that wears shades.
Well, who else wears shades on a Tuesday night?
Many people do. All right. You look at other podcasts, they don't say nothing about them. But I'm the coolest one that wears shades on a Tuesday night. So salute to those people, but you already know what it is. The snap is here, and I'm here to win.
All right. Next, 8 o'clock spot mainstay. Paris, welcome back to the 8 o'clock spot.
Thank you, man. I got my Red Sox coat on for the NBA season. My Pacers are at 30 wins. We in fourth place in the East, so we're looking good right now.
All right, and last but not least, joining us again, Mr. Tyler Reddington.
Hey, man, it's always good when life throws a bunch of stuff at you. You could just come together and talk some good sports. So, hey, that's what I'm here for. Let's get after it.
All right, and that is what we are here to do, ladies and gentlemen, is talk sports. So, the rules of the 8 o'clock spot for first-time viewers are as follows. Per topic, best take is 5 points. Second best take is 3 points. Third best take is a point. For our first couple of topics before we get to the bonus round. So, topic number one, it was the highlight of the sports weekend, or low light, depending on how you feel. As you can see the graphic there, the NBA All-Star Weekend was this past weekend. Mac McClung was your slam dunk champion, only person to win it 3 times, and he's won it 3 years in a row. Tyler Hero won the three-point contest, and Steph Curry won a very convoluted tournament MVP, All-Star MVP, folks. So the big question is, does NBA All-Star Weekend need a makeover? Do they need to do something different? And if so, what would you do if you were in charge? We'll start off first with Mr. Gangrel himself, Barry Grant Jr.
So, NBA All-Star Weekend has been bad for quite some time. This is dating back probably a little over a decade now. It's been going down and down and down. Viewership has gone down. Interest level has gone down. Everything has gone down. The fact that Matt McClung, and shouts to Matt McClung, he won the dunk contest, pretty impressive, but it just doesn't have the same feel that it has. 3-point contest was just, they took out the whole Steph Curry and Ionescu thing. Okay. Then we had this convoluted, as you said, all-star format thing that just didn't work for a lot of people. You got games to 40. Like, what are we doing? So if you're going to put the commissioner hat on, it's very simple how to fix this, right? Everybody wants to talk about competitive this, competitive this. If I'm the commissioner of the NBA, I'm literally telling my star players that the only reason why you're here is because the fans voted you in. I didn't vote you in. The owners didn't vote you in. The fans voted you in. You are obligated to give the fans a show. And what they mean by show, they mean a competitive basketball game. It should be written in the bylaws of an NBA contract. If you do not adhere to your media obligations, you will then face financial ramifications. All we're asking for is to play the game that you've played your entire life. Most of these people played the game for free at lower levels of their lives. The fact that guys are making big time salaries now, they have brands, they have this, they have this. The game seems less important to the mass of NBA players. That doesn't need to be the case. Just force them to play the game. That's it. If you are selected, you need to play the game that you play on a regular basis. Just like how we have the in-season tournament. Why you play hard for that? What makes the All-Star game different from an in-season tournament game? Just because we created this make-believe tournament. The All-Star game has been around longer than the make-believe tournament. Make that a big thing. The game has gotten more global, and the importance of the All-Star game, which is actually a global event, has gotten less. It needs to be more on the forefront and put there more as an important landmark for your NBA season. Baseball All-Star games get it right. They understand what the landscape is. NFL is a little hard because it's a physical game, but basketball, they need to just put their heart and soul into it and play with the same vigor and passion that they play an exhibition game, a preseason game, or something like that. There's no difference, and that's what needs to change. The commissioner just needs to grow some nuts and tell them that they are forced and obligated to play this game. That's it, and play it the way they're supposed to play. Problem solved.
So your answer to this question is force them to play as if it's a real game that means something.
Correct.
Okay. Paris, how do you feel? Do you feel All-Star Weekend needs a makeover? And if it does, how would you fix it?
The All-Star game specifically needs a makeover. The festivities itself, the only makeover you need in the festivities, in my opinion, is getting, the actual stars to do it. You got in the dunk contest and three-point contest, you're getting, Mac McClung, he's been doing his thing for the past 3 years, but you don't even see him on the court. He doesn't even play in the NBA, but he just goes and does a dunk contest. And that's what's going to not bring people in. Yeah, I'm glad he can dunk like that. He can dunk very well, but people want to see the people they're watching every day go do the dunk contest, not somebody else go do it and take it from somebody. So with those, you need to get your stars back in there. It's way more entertaining. Even if Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine didn't do what they did, they're known. People know their names. 3 years ago, I had no idea who Mac McClung is. I didn't have no idea who Mac McClung is until the All-Star break comes up. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna go to the dunk contest, and I won't hear from him again until the next dunk contest. But the festivity itself, I think, can be fun. You just gotta get the right people in it. The game itself, I agree with Barry that you have to make them play, but you have to give them a reason to play, and that's why I think the MLB does it right. They make it as whoever wins, they get home field advantage in the World Series. Why don't you do that in NBA? Whoever wins the East, we need to go back to East and West. Forget the coach, East and West. Let's do East and West again. And then whoever wins the East or West, they get home court advantage in the finals. Because it works in baseball great. It gives you a reason to play because at least some of these all-star players are going to be competing to go to the finals. And playoff atmosphere, you want home court advantage. It gives everybody a kind of reason to play. I feel like that's the only reason the in-season tournament people actually play. It's for their team. It still counts to the record. They want to win games. They get money for it. They're going to.
Paris, I think you're on mute.
Somebody.
There we go.
Okay, with the All-Star game, there's no reason to compete, you're going out there to play, but there's no incentive for it, They're going out there having fun because that's it. There's no incentive to it. So they need to add an incentive. My incentive is exactly how the MLB does it. Make it for a finals home court advantage, because that gives somewhere everybody a reason to play for it, because they're all going to want to be in the finals.
Okay. And last but not least, Tyler, what are your thoughts? Does it need fixing? The festivities, the All-Star game itself, or do you leave it alone? And if it does need fixing, how would you fix it?
My dad said to start by not giving Kevin Hart the mic the whole night. I actually like Kevin Hart, but my dad's not too big of a fan. I thought that was funny. But after the game, Rachel Nichols presented a question to everybody and asked them if they'd be down to play one-on-one in the All-Star game. And to me, that would be a sick remedy for what's going on. Now, I'm not saying you replace the All-Star game. I think if you do keep the All-Star game, you do got to go back East-West, and you do have to add incentives and consequences, right? But if you add a one-on-one tournament, hoopers know that that's legit how you see who is the best player. So if you have Kyrie Irving going against Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, you know that's going to be straight popcorn, and you know everyone's going to watch it and they're going to give it their all. So I would like to see that. Now, the All-Star Weekend it's so good because of what it was back then, but what it is now is not a good product. It really isn't. I mean, Mac McClung should not be beating NBA players 3 years in a row. He's a great dunker, and he actually practices his dunks, but he should not be beat. Like, we got to have some backbone in the NBA to say, hey, I'm not going to let this guy come and steal my weekend or steal our weekend. You know, I like a little bit of the Rising Stars, but it's just completely watered down. Throw in a one-on-one tournament, and let's see who really, really gets after it.
Okay, and as far as Mac McClung goes, before I get into the points totals, I actually had to look up Mac McClung's NBA stats, and including this season, the man has only played in 6 NBA games in his career through 4 seasons, which is mind-boggling. And I don't think I've ever seen him in any NBA game I've ever watched. He's played for the Lakers, the Sixers, and the Magic, and I've never seen that man in a regular season game. And I watch a fair amount of NBA basketball. So as far as the point totals go, I'm going to give the best take to Tyler. I do think that the one-on-one, if you add a one-on-one tournament to the festivities overall, that would be actually kind of interesting. And, you know, with one-on-one tournaments, there's going to be bragging rights, and especially because there's more pride. You know, in a team setting, if you lose a game, you could point the finger. You know, LeBron could point the finger at Steph Curry and be like, well, you know, we didn't lose because of me. But one-on-one, you have nobody to blame but yourself. I'm gonna give the second best take 3 points to Paris. I do like the idea of incentivizing. I did have to ding you though because the MLB stopped doing the home field advantage in the World Series a couple years back for the All-Star game. But I do understand you got to give the players something to play for. And then finally, with 1 point in the worst take, not to insult you, BG, but I got to give you 1 point because I don't feel like forcing the players and making them play in a competitive game in the All-Star game is the right answer. I could see if they put that in the CBA or in a Players Association contract, there would be huge uproar because, again, the game typically is a meaningless game. It is for entertainment, and that's why, you know, the NFL lobbied to put the pads down and put the flags on their All-Star game.
But here's the difference. I don't want to tie this up too long because you have to go to the next round. The NFL I can understand because that is a collision sport. You can't play hard on an off season with nothing to play for for a collision sport. For basketball
agreed
purposes, the All-Star weekend makes them a lot of money. Whatever city they go in, they generate a lot of money because there's a weekly events that's going on, daily events for that entire week. So they're making a lot of money. People are spending a lot of money trying to see these stars going on. The least you can do is to have your players know that they are supposed to play a game that's important for the fans, not for them. It's for the fans. This is a fan event. That's like having your biggest event for any other situation, and people just don't perform well. They don't play hard. They don't perform hard. You're doing it for the fans.
But then what do you tell a guy like LeBron James who wants to save his ankle for a playoff run?
Then that's fine. LeBron is just one person, but you have how many other players that are playing in the game?
I could argue that players may be afraid to not want to get hurt. We all remember that season that Carmelo after he left the Knicks, that All-Star game, he didn't play in that game.
Well, then if players are scared to get hurt, then you should not be playing a sport. I'm just saying.
Meaningless game, though, doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things.
Then why have it?
Entertainment, like you said.
It's not entertaining. That's the whole point. That's why people are complaining.
Moving on to the next topic. Miami Hurricanes quarterback and NFL draft hopeful Cam Ward came out in the press today saying that he will remember the teams that skip over him. Is he focusing on the wrong thing, or should he have this much bravado? Paris, I'll start with you.
And man, one for one, I'm tired of hearing people say this. Okay, this is not the first time I've heard somebody say this. People every year are gonna say it. It is what it is. I don't think you should be saying it when you're gonna be like a guaranteed top 5 pick. I get it. Somebody is getting picked in the late first round, getting picked in the second round. I remember all the QBs picked before me. I remember all the wide receivers picked before me. I understand that. In Cam Ward's situation, there's gonna be what, maybe one QB picked before him. So one, there's not that much to remember. Two, I can't say I'm surprised because he already took himself out the game after he broke the record in his last college football game. So his mindset already is very questionable. His mindset seems to be very all about him right now. Like I 100% understand, going for that record, but then you sub yourself out and your team ends up losing that game. So what that shows to me, you don't even care for the team anymore. You just kind of care about yourself. Whether he broke the record or not wasn't going to affect his draft stock. I mean, he was still going to be projected high. Yeah, he breaks the record now, but the fact that he took himself out the game, that already kind of shows where his mindset is, right? His mindset is all about him. He just cares about himself. He doesn't care about anybody else. And for that to be the leader of the team, that is the wrong mindset to have. The QBs are always the one that are, hey, I should have done this better. Should have done, should have done something like this. Even if, they couldn't have done anything better, they put it on them or they say the team. But he seems to be the one that's been like, hey, I did my job. I did what I was supposed to do. It doesn't matter. I don't care. My team's 0-16, but hey, I threw for 5,000 yards. So that's all that matters. So to me, it does seem like his mind right now is all about just himself and not about anybody else, and not about being a leader of anything. It's all just about him.
Fair enough. That was true. He did play in bowl season, broke the record in the first half, and did not re-enter the game after halftime. Mr. BG Jr., your thoughts on Cam Ward? Focusing on the wrong thing, or should he have this much bravado?
I think it's neither of those things. I think it's a nothing burger. I think a lot of these kids, a lot of these players, they use this line as motivation. They have to be motivated to do something, right? We know that Cam Ward is going to be a high draft pick. We know that he's going to be one of the 2 quarterbacks selected possibly in the top 10, top 12 picks, right? So he has to find a reason to be able to motivate himself, to be able to stay on brand, stay on point, and make sure that he's focusing on trying to get better. A lot of players have this mentality that they use negative things as their advantage. Jordan did this for his entire career. I'm not saying that he's Jordan, but Jordan used to make up these things just to give him a competitive advantage so he can be able to focus on something. I think Cam is just using this to make sure that he's focusing on trying to be the best quarterback that he can possibly be. I don't see this as a negative thing. I don't see this as anything. I just see this as a kid that's trying to, put his focus on where it needs to be and is playing football.
Okay. Tyler, if you are with us, can we get your take on Cam Ward?
Yeah, I'm here.
Should he have this level of bravado, or is he focusing on the wrong thing, or is it neither of the two?
He's focusing on the wrong thing. I mean, it was funny. Like Caleb Williams hadn't even played a game in a pro career and wanted some ownership of the team. I think these guys are just getting a little bit ahead of themselves because you saw how Caleb Williams did last year. He didn't live up to the hype. He didn't live up to his own hype. And it was disappointing because of the expectation that he set for himself, right? So I just want him to slow your roll, jabroni. I mean, come on, Cam. There's only going to be 2 teams that you're going to be able to look off because you're going to be third. You might be second or first. So I do understand you giving yourself motivation, but all the motivation should be out there. Not having to worry about the 2 teams that may have glossed over you because of the position that they needed wasn't yours, right? So, uh, again, motivation is something I will never like doubt or belittle because it's important. But if you got to look at the 2 teams that's selected above you, it just doesn't make sense to me. Much ado about nothing here. Cam, just come on, show us what you're worth in the NFL. We know you're an athlete. We know you could spin the rock. Let's see what you got first in the NFL, and then we'll start talking.
Okay. Personally, I do think he's kind of focused on the wrong thing, and I gotta agree with a point that both Tyler and Paris have hit on the head. Like, dude, like you're other than Shador Sanders, you're probably gonna be a top 5 pick in this draft, maybe top 10. There's not gonna be that many teams that are gonna skip over you. It's like, what are you talking about? So I'm gonna give best take to Tyler. I do agree. These guys should be worried about, living up to the hype. We saw Caleb Williams, like Tyler said, get drafted by the Bears and wanted ownership in the team, and then laid a dud every week for most weeks in the NFL this season. Second best take, I'm going to go over to Barry. I do agree. It's more of a mental thing. I can see he's giving himself motivation, something that he wants to. He's putting an obstacle mentally in front of him so that he can have something to overcome. And then finally, I'm going to go to Paris. I don't know if it was about your point about him so much being a lack of a leader, because it is common that you see in bowl games, with the exception of the national championship game, that guys who are preparing for the NFL draft typically don't play in bowl games. It's very rare. So, but Barry and Paris are tied with 4 points, and Tyler, if he can make it back, is in the lead with 10. So as we move on, sticking with the topic of football, Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Late last week, the Jets put out a statement saying that they are officially going to move on from Aaron Rodgers. He does have 1 year left in his contract, but they are going to work on trying to move him somewhere. Where he moves, that's the mystery. Or does he retire? There's been previous off seasons he's hosted Jeopardy. He's wanted to get into politics. So different things that can happen for Mr. Rodgers. So I will start with you, Barry Grant. What's next for Aaron Rodgers? Is he in the league next season? Is he retiring? What is he going to do? Is he still playing football in the NFL?
I think he wants to still play. I think if he didn't want to play, we would have heard that he didn't want to play by now. I think he wants to play. I think he wants to finish out his career the way he wants to, instead of it's not really about team success. I think he just wants to see if he can still be able to be a helpful component to a football team, because he did do some good things with the Jets. A lot of players on the team said some good things about him. CJ Mosley spoke very highly of him in regards to his leadership and how he locked in when he tore his Achilles. He didn't necessarily have to be back with the team. He tried to be back with the team as soon as he could, to be a support to the team, to be a support to the quarterback room, to be a support to the staff. So he tried to do some things. And yes, Aaron Rodgers has been a lightning rod for controversy ever since the 2020 season, right? But before that, people used to love Aaron Rodgers. He was a guy that was discount, double check, and all that stuff. So he's shown a lot of humbleness this season, I believe. Anybody that has a new regime, they're going to want their own guy. They're going to want their own quarterback and try to do things their way. But I do still feel that Aaron Rodgers does have a lot to prove. Where he goes, I have no idea. It depends on the need. I don't know how many teams are going to want Aaron Rodgers' services. Pittsburgh Steelers players have come out on social media, said they don't want him. But there's going to be a team that is going to need an Aaron Rodgers, because, great quarterback play, or even above average quarterback play, is very, very hard to come by. So even if you can be able to get an Aaron Rodgers for one season, I think it would actually bode well for the New York Giants to maybe look at an Aaron Rodgers, because it's a 1 year thing. I don't think the Giants are in love with the quarterbacks that are in this draft. If you can be able to have Aaron Rodgers as a bridge quarterback to be able to get to the next season, or maybe they don't want to do that because they want to be as bad as possible. But I think an Aaron Rodgers at this stage of his career is a mentor. He did wonders for a guy like Jordan Love. He didn't do what Brett Favre did to him. He's willing to pass the torch on to the next generation of quarterback, but he still wants to play as well. So what the Jets do, if they get a deal with him, if they cut him, I don't know what the situation is, but for the Jets, it's about what are they going to do now? What's next? Are you going to get a veteran quarterback to replace Aaron? That doesn't make sense because you just got rid of him. You want a young quarterback? What do you want to do? So we have to see what the Jets have in place. But in regards to Aaron Rodgers, he still has some stuff to prove. He still has a lot left in the tank, and I'd still believe he has 1 or 2 years of good football ahead of him.
Fair enough. It's interesting you bring up the Giants on a side note. They were rumored to be inquiring with the Rams about Matthew Stafford. So that's also interesting. All right, Tyler, your opinion. Does Aaron Rodgers play NFL football next season? Where is he going to end up, or does he retire?
I do think he plays another season. I'd like to see him more involved in the game of football, though, instead of the Pat McAfee show and politics and that kind of stuff. I'd like to see him really devote himself to making a football comeback this year. And I'd like to see it on the Cowboys, actually. I'm not so sold on Dak Prescott, and I'd like to see Aaron Rodgers come to the Big D and help out this Dallas. And you know what's funny is Matt Eberflus found his way after such a shitty year. He found his way to Dallas. How does that happen? He is now a coach on the Dallas Cowboys. We need somebody like Aaron Rodgers for the show and for the action. We need it.
So are you saying bench Dak Prescott and give Aaron Rodgers the keys to the car? Or are you saying have Aaron Rodgers there as a mentor to Dak?
I'm saying for one season, let Aaron Rodgers come in and show Dak how to win some meaningful games. Because Dak don't know how to do it. I don't know the last time you checked, but Dak does not know how to win meaningful games.
That is an interesting take. Paris, your opinion, does Aaron Rodgers play in the NFL next season, or does he retire, or does he do something else with his life?
Well, first of all, I gotta mention Tyler. I think he's losing his mind over there. He didn't got rid of Luka, and now he don't know what to think. He's losing it over there. But A-Rod to Dallas over Dak, I would never do that. I love Dak slander. I love Dak slander. I love Cowboy slander. Dak, yeah, he hasn't never win a big game. I 100% agree. Can Aaron Rodgers still win games? I didn't see him win games over there in New York. So like, it comes to win big games, or can I win game in general? And Dak is where Dak's gonna be. Aaron Rodgers isn't gonna improve Dak Prescott. There is no improving Dak Prescott. He's reached where he's gonna be. Should Aaron Rodgers return? I don't think he should. But is he going to? I 100% think he will. Where he goes, so being in Indy, there's been a lot of talk about Indy bringing Aaron Rodgers over here. Anthony Richardson 100% needs a mentor. The dude shouldn't have left college so early. But when you're getting the opportunity to get picked top 5 for playing in college for 1 year and throwing 50%, why wouldn't you take it? You know, you're going to get the money. You're going to get everything for it. But Anthony Richardson needs a mentor. You can go from Aaron Rodgers to Anthony Richardson. Like you said, only be a year or two. I mean, that's the time he needs to develop. Anthony Richardson didn't even get to play his first year because he got injured immediately. So that's a whole year already wasted. He didn't get to improve. This last year, he looked pretty bad, but this is basically his rookie year without any improvement. He's younger than basically all the people coming into the draft nowadays. People coming in the draft nowadays, 24, 25 years old. Anthony Richardson is like 22. I mean, as a very young player, I think he has a ton of potential. He just needs someone to teach him. And yes, Aaron Rodgers is old. I really don't think he has much left in the tank. But you also can't get much better of a mentor than Aaron Rodgers. That's kind of why I also really like the Russell Wilson, Justin Fields thing. I believe Russell Wilson could be a great mentor to Justin Fields, and they should just let Justin Fields take over the team. I could see that. Let Aaron Rodgers come to the team for a year. It shows even when Zach Wilson was there. Zach Wilson didn't get better, but his mental got so much better. He became a different mental person. So, yes, he might not win that many games, but you have a better mentor. It puts Anthony Richardson in a better spot. If he comes in and Anthony Richardson takes over and he still sucks, hey, that's it on that. But I can see that really happening.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and award the best take to Barry Grant Jr., who is up to 9 points now. Barry said something that stood out And because I worked for the Jets on their sidelines during timeouts, I actually was able to witness this. But Aaron Rodgers, after he tore his Achilles, was still with the Jets every single week while he was out nursing that torn Achilles. We've seen athletes not only in the NFL but in other sports, they get a catastrophic injury, they no longer travel with the team, they're just focusing on themselves. One such example is when Kobe Bryant tore his Achilles. He stayed in the rehab center the entire season, didn't travel with the Lakers, wasn't on the end of the bench. Aaron Rodgers was there actively mentoring Zach Wilson that season and supporting. So kudos to Barry for mentioning that. I'm going to give second best take to Paris. I do believe that I'm going to agree with you, even though Aaron Rodgers played 2 seasons on my favorite franchise. I don't think he has much left in the tank. The man actually left the Jets worse than he found them, and became the Jets all-time losingest starting quarterback.
Relax.
Hey man, the numbers don't lie, bro. So I'm gonna agree with Paris. I do see Aaron Rodgers either going to a really bad team or a team that'll make the playoffs but is not a true contender. Just being a mentor to somebody. I don't know if he goes to Indy, but I could see a situation where he ends up in Vegas on a really bad team and they need a veteran presence, similar to like Joe Flacco's role the last couple of years in Cleveland and other places. And then, well, he's not here anymore, but he's still in the lead. But I got to give worst take to Tyler. I don't know if you're Jerry Jones, you're gonna bench your the darling of your franchise and bring in Aaron Rodgers. That take whatever he had to inhale earlier today. I would like some of that. That was crazy. All right, I guess Tyler is back here. All right. So going to our next topic, our final first round topic, we are going to Major League Baseball. Reported earlier today that Vladdy Jr. and the Blue Jays did not agree to an extension. Vladdy Jr. said that he will not negotiate any more contract extensions during this season. So he is going to be a pending free agent at the end of the year. If you are a Blue Jays fan, is this a cause for concern? Do you think the Blue Jays can retain Vladdy at the end of the season? Do you think he gets traded at the deadline? Like, are you about to panic if you're a Blue Jays fan? Of course, Vladdy Jr., the face of that franchise. We'll start with Tyler.
It would be very, very small in comparison to losing Luka, but Blue Jays fans do have very, very much concern. It sounds like Vladimir is going to get paid. It sounds like at the negotiation table that the Blue Jays didn't give him what he's worth. And I don't know if you've heard lately, these baseball players, these stars are worth a lot of money, and he's going to get paid. I don't know what happened, if they fumbled it, but they need to come back and offer him something more before they lose him, because it already sounds bad for the Blue Jays. This is your one chance. You have Vladdy Guerrero, a culture guy, a star, a stud, and you're not going to give him what he's worth? It sounds a lot like Mr. Dumont, Dickhead Dumont in Dallas. So I'm not digging it. If I'm a Blue Jays fan, I'd like to see them offer him a little more.
All right, going on to somebody who would be glad to see Vladdy leave the AL East. Paris, the Red Sox fan, talk to us. Are you concerned if you're a Blue Jays fan?
Oh yeah, if I'm a Blue Jays fan, I'm 100% concerned. He is one of 2 stars on the team, and from what I've heard on sources, if Bill Bichette was talking about if Vlad leaves, he doesn't know if he wants to stay. So not only would you lose Vlad, you'd also lose Bo Bichette. Those are only 2 people I know on that team. I don't understand how they don't pay him, because again, who else do you even have to pay? I get you want to pay Bo Bichette, because I would want to pay Bo Bichette. But those are the only 2 players I can, off the top of my head, know that is on the Blue Jays team, and they're already about to lose one. It's most likely going to cost them to lose a second one. Yeah, I'd be worried if I was them. I know their team about to be, they're getting to White Sox level, on my opinion, if they start just losing these players, because they don't got much else left after that.
Wow. So if they lose Vladdy, you think they're gonna tank to the White Sox? Oh my goodness.
Because they're gonna lose Bo Bichette, and then who else they got? Just like the White Sox. The White Sox are what? Luis Robert, who doesn't even want to play on that team.
He's
So
not too far. He's not too far off.
Wow. I mean, I guess Alejandro Kirk is chopped liver. All right. Barry Grant Jr. Last but not least, Blue Jays fans, are they concerned? And do you think the team has a chance to get Vladdy to re-sign the end of the season?
Yeah, they should be concerned. But if you're a Blue Jays fan, over the history of you being a Blue Jays fan, you should always be used to disappointment. Vladdy he's a homegrown talent, right? Bo Bichette, homegrown talent. Most big stars from Toronto are homegrown talents. You can't really get big free agents to go there because of the tax, and it's really, really difficult. Blue Jays have a lot of money. There's just not a lot of people that want it. Vladdy is one of those guys that is very different. Reason being, his father played over there, right? He was born in Canada, right? Talking about Montreal. He played for the Expos, right? So the fact that he was born in Canada, he's from Canada, right? He's a home kid. So this is his hometown, not just his homegrown team, but he lives here. So there's more precedent and there's more importance for the Blue Jays to get this done and get it done at the timeline that he requested. He is the star of the team. So if you can't get a deal done when he's asking you to do it, that means that A, you don't think that he's worth the money that he's asking for, because the Juan Soto contract is what got them here, right? Had Juan Soto not got the money that he got, he would have probably taken a smaller deal, but his money has just went up about 200 plus %, right? So the fact that they don't want to give him the number that he wants right now, they should be very concerned, because you got the Red Sox that want him dangerously and they will pay anything for him. You got the Mets. If he hits free agency, you can best believe that there might not be a team that's going to outbid the Mets in regards to money. Other things may play a factor, but in regards to just dollars and cents, nobody's going to outbid the Mets. So that's a big concern. But the fact that he's a guy from Canada and they're dragging their feet on this, every Blue Jays fan should be upset, and they should be throwing batteries on the field at the start of the season, because this is very, very big. This is losing not only your best player, but one of you. Like, it's literally one of you. So yeah, this is a big concern. And shouts to Steve Cohen, because I know that if the Mets are on the docket, if he gets traded, if we trade for Vladdy, he's not going to free agency, because we're just going to lock him up.
Throwing batteries on the field?
Yeah.
You do know to get into an MLB stadium, you have to walk through a metal detector, right?
Well, I think the batteries will probably be there. Vladdy might put him in the seats for him. As
a little plant job.
Yeah, plant job.
Jesus. All right. I do believe that Blue Jays fans should be concerned. I'm gonna give Barry Grant Jr. the best take of this round, because a lot of people fail to realize that, like what Barry said, this kid was born in Canada. He's a hometown guy, even though he's Dominican. He was born in Canada when his father, Vladdy Sr., who's a Hall of Famer, by the way, did play for the Expos. So not only to lose the face of your franchise, but to lose a countryman at that. And remember, when Vladdy Jr. was born, there were 2 Canadian franchises in MLB. Now there's only 1. So that's a massive loss that I didn't even think about when factoring into that question. And again, the guy's a superstar. I'm going to give second best take to Paris, because I do agree with the point. I don't think they're going to tank to the White Sox level if they lose Vladdy, but we've seen in the past a franchise lose a face of the franchise and a fan favorite, and then that franchise becomes a cellar dweller for decades. Just one example we saw happen when my Mets in the 70s got rid of Tom Seaver. They didn't win for another decade. So, and lost the fan base that they had to work hard to get back. Even though, and this was a tough one to decide, but even though you only get 1 point, Tyler, you are going to the final round. You and Barry Grant Jr. advance to the final round. But I do agree with you on 1 point. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is worth big money. Somebody's going to pay him. If the Blue Jays don't want to pay him, one of the other 29 teams in the league are going to pay him. Stop subliminal messaging, Barry. Paris, it's good having you on the show. Any final words before we get to the final round?
No, I'm glad I was able to get on here. You know, it's a very busy day, but I'm glad I got to get on here, got my points across, got to hear this guy talk about Aaron Rodgers going to the Cowboys. That's a highlight of my day. So shoot, hey.
Enjoy your new car, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'll see you guys later.
Shout out to Paris, who has a new whip. Paris, we'll bring you back at the end.
You're good. I got places to be, so you guys are all good. You guys get this.
All right, no worries. So Paris is out. So our final round, the rules for the final round, it's only going to be 10 points for the winner, none for the loser of the round. Winner take all. And this final topic, who has the best All-Star weekend festivities? I'm not talking about just the All-Star game. I'm talking about the entire weekend. Is it Major League Baseball, the NBA, or the NFL? And Tyler, will go with you. Who has the best All-Star weekend and why?
Major League Baseball. The Home Run Derby is straight entertainment. I love watching the Home Run Derby. And it is a solidified to where you don't have to change anything. You're not worried about the ratings. They've been doing this for so long and it's been working. You cannot fix what's not broken. You go into a home run derby and then you go into an all-star game with both events highly watched and the ratings are very good. The NBA and NFL got to talk to the MLB because they're doing this right here, and MLB is supposed to be the sports that's dying. Well, they got all-star weekend figured out, and so Adam Silver and Roger Goodell, they need to do the same thing and follow suit.
Okay. Barry, what is your opinion? Who has the best All-Star weekend between the big three?
I mean, me and Tyler are gonna be in agreement here. It's the baseball All-Star weekend. It's just, you know, when you talk about pride, how they go about putting onus on the game, putting the importance on the game, putting the importance on the home run derby. Guys that are actually competing actually want to win this thing. It's a different feel. It's a different feel. You know, hockey is a very close second to me as well. But obviously baseball just does it the right way. I mean, there's nothing to me like when the All-Star game comes on for baseball. If you're a baseball fan, that's something that you have to watch. Home run derby, that's something that you can't miss, depending on who's there. Like if the biggest bashers in the game are there, you want to see them make history. You want to see guys get hot and have a great round like Pete Alonso did, like all of the greats have had, right? You want to see that. You don't really have that much enthusiasm when it comes to the dunk contest or the 3-point contest or anything like that. But a home run derby, the All-Star game itself, you want to see, a great pitcher go against a great hitter and certain matchups that you probably won't see, you might see, right? Those are things that are really important. I just think baseball does it the right way. I think baseball does a lot of things right that basketball and other sports can be able to take. And they also do things the other way that other sports are better at. But in regards to the All-Star weekend, I don't think baseball can be touched.
Ooh, you guys have made this one difficult because you have the same opinion.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well, I will say this before I award the winner.
Unless you want to give the fact that we have the same take, maybe you want to give a lightning round type of thing. I don't know. It's up to you.
All right, we need a tiebreaker for this argument.
Yeah.
So, all right, impromptu. Tyler, I'll start with you. Same question for both of you. But the MLB, the consensus between the two of you is they have the best All-Star weekend. So, who has the worst between the NFL and the NBA, and what's a possible fix?
The NFL is the worst, but to be honest, I don't think it's fixable. I really don't. Unless, I mean, it's just such a hard, like the injuries play such a big role in the NFL that unless you change it to like some 7-on-7 type where you get the all the studs together and you do 7-on-7 where you incentivize it, and then you also have negative reparations for not trying, kind of like how Barry said in the NBA. If you do that and make it 7-on-7, that's something that you can do. But man, it's hard to fix what the NFL's got going on. Does anybody turn on and watch the Pro Bowl anymore? Does anybody?
I gotta admit, I haven't watched the Pro Bowl since they moved it out of Honolulu.
That's all I'm saying, man.
That's a long time ago. Barry, between the NBA and the NFL, who has the worst? What's the fix if there is a fix?
Just because I want to be different, I'm just gonna go with the NBA. NBA is just worse. Just because the expectation of the weekend should be higher than the NFL's Pro Bowl. Nobody cares about Pro Bowl week. Nobody's ever cared about Pro Bowl week. All-Star weekend was a staple in our country. We're talking about WrestleMania. We're talking about Super Bowl. We're talking about World Series. We're talking about the NBA. The NBA All-Star Weekend was that big of a in the 500. The All-Star game had that type of importance, and it still has the cachet, but it doesn't have the substance anymore. So that's why it's a lot more disappointing than the Pro Bowl, because the Pro Bowl never had any cachet. Nobody ever gave a shit about the Pro Bowl. So the fact that the NBA has taken a significant drastic dip in their product in regards to All-Star Weekend is more of a disappointment. How they can be able to change it, I mean, we definitely went ahead and talked about it, but I think that if they bring back the dunk contest, if they find a way to bring the dunk contest back, I think it brings up All-Star Weekend a lot more. Matt McClung did his thing, but I think if they let it just be a rising stars, a real young stars thing, and open it up to the local dunkers in the actual city that you're hosting, right? And if there's some great local dunkers there, have them with the young guys, and then have a nice dunk contest. If one of the local guys win, give the guy a G League tryout, give him a G League spot, something like that. So it now incentivizes the city to embrace that contest, and now you're going to get a lot more eyes and awareness, and also some publicity for that particular contest. So I think that the NBA All-Star Weekend is a lot more disappointing because the expectation is higher.
Before I award the winner, I just want to share my personal thought. I feel that the late 90s, early to mid 2000s All-Star weekends were the greatest.
Yeah.
I also felt that instead of All-Star uniforms, I missed the time period where you would watch the All-Star game and everybody was in their individual team jerseys. Shaq and Kobe were in Laker jerseys. You had Stephon Marbury sitting on the bench in the New Jersey Nets jersey. Like I miss those all, and I feel like the NBA is trying so hard to be different that they've mucked it up way more than they should have.
Totally agree. Totally agree with you.
Yep, and the other thing about festivities in general, back in the 80s and 90s, who did we see in the dunk contest? We saw future Hall of Famers. We've seen Kobe Bryant win the dunk contest. Jordan won the dunk contest. Dominique Wilkins, George Gervin, guys who ended up in the Hall of Fame. Now we're seeing they're plucking guys out of the G League and getting role players off the end of the bench. We know who those guys are because we watch the NBA, but to the casual viewer, they're going to be like, who? So, I think the NBA does need some work. But I'm going to give the win tonight to the man who had the most convincing argument, to Mr. Barry Grant Jr. Congratulations. Tyler, you fought a good fight. I just don't think that telling the NFL players that they must play in this game and show some effort, because the reason they went to flag football was because guys felt that they didn't want to get hurt playing a meaningless game. So go ahead,
That's
Barry.
fair. That's fair. Good job, Barry. Love
Barry,
sparring with you, man.
You have the floor for a victory speech. Anything you'd like to say?
Listen, it's like I said, man, I created this show and I had to come back to make sure that I advise people that I'm still around, that, guys like Arthur can't run away with this thing. If I want to come back here every week and make a sacrifice to do so, I probably will. So it's just one of those things. But like I said, this is not about me. This is about Queens. And shouts to Steve Cohen, shouts to King Cohen. And the fact that people don't realize that the Shark is on his way to Toronto to get that deal done. I don't care what it takes. I don't care what prospects we have to ship out. Go get Vladdy now. We're not waiting until the offseason. We're not waiting until the trade deadline. Go get him now. Go get him now and we figure it out. Because can you imagine a lineup with Soto, Vladdy, Pete Alonso, Lindor, Vientos? That's what I'm talking about. Damn the pitching. You're gonna have to hit. You have to pitch to us. You understand what I'm saying? Damn the pitching. We can have a 4 or 5 ERA because we scoring 9 runs a game. We don't care. We don't care. So Steve Cohen, Stearns, get it done. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, the last time Steve Cohen went all in on a big name, Javi Baez was in town for half a season.
You gotta relax.
I'm just saying, and we saw what he's become since. I'm so glad he didn't re-sign that extension. But anyway, folks, enough about me and the Mets. Congratulations, Barry Grant Jr. I want to thank Paris and Tyler for playing, and we'll catch you guys next week, same time, same channel, same place on the Grid Network, YouTube. Is that an autographed Gangrel picture?
Oh, yeah, it is.
How'd you get that?
Don't worry about that. I'm great.
Well, all right, everybody. Take care.